In 1995, Larry Clark's Kids came out and shocked the world. Was this what the kids in the mid-90s were like? And yeah, I was a punk kid in the mid-90s and knew plenty of other kids who would have fit right into that movie. Not me, of course. Pink hair aside, I was a little too smart to fall victim to that lifestyle. One question people had about Kids was, where were the parents? Well, Ken Park answers that question, and the movie ends up being a how the sausage is made kind of movie. It's not pretty, but this is a Larry Clark film, so it will show you some sausage. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at Ken Park from 2002. This is an extremely controversial film. After its film festival premiere, it was never shown again in the States, although Clark says that's mostly because the producers failed to get copyright releases for the soundtrack, not due to any censorship issues. But because of its extremely graphic content featuring underage characters, not actors, characters, the film was banned in Australia. A protest showing was organized and shut down by the police. The film was never released in the United Kingdom or many other places, but it was released here in continental Europe. Europeans don't care about nudity, in film anyway. They're not too excited about it on sidewalks. Two things before we get started. One, this movie is 5 different stories which play out more as slice-of-life vignettes than anything approaching an overall narrative. As such, it's very difficult to talk about without spoilers, so unlike most of my other videos, this one will spoil some stuff. I will save the most disturbing bits for you, but if you want to avoid all spoilers, go watch the movie. 2, as mentioned before, this is a very graphic film in all kinds of ways that YouTube will not like, so I might have to go over this video after I record it to cut out some jokes or descriptions or pictures of me without pants on.
I suppose you think I'm some kind of degenerate.
Sorry about that, but I'll do my best. Let's get started. We open on some bouncing souls, oi! And skateboarders. This red-headed skater is the eponymous Ken Park. He won't be with us for long. He sets up a camcorder, pulls out a piece, gives us a smile, and... Via voiceover, we hear from Sean, who knew him. He feels guilty because he used to tease Ken Park by pronouncing his name backwards. Crapneck. Kids are pretty clever when they want to be cruel. These are the characters the movie will follow. That's Sean there on the far right. They know each other, and they knew Ken, but we won't see any of them together until the end of the film. Instead, the film will bounce back and forth between them until they all come together in a final scene. And since this is a Larry Clark film, both ways of understanding that last sentence are accurate.
I can't believe it. Let me rewind this.
Until they all come together in a final scene.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
In order to have this video be easier to follow, I'll talk about the individual storylines separately. Our first is Sean. We meet him roughhousing with his little brother, trying to get him to say that he loves him. Then he goes to his girlfriend's house, who is also the mother of his girlfriend.
What?
Yeah, 2 girlfriends, mother and daughter.
That's just wrong.
They get up to some activities you can't see here on YouTube.
Man, I just work here.
And hey, apropos of nothing, did you know I have a Patreon? It's true, head over there and for $3 you can watch Patreon versions of my reviews. They differ in some ways from the ones you can find here. Link is in the description. After their activities, Sean and his girlfriend, who again is the mother of his girlfriend, have a weird conversation.
Sometimes when I'm with Hannah, I pretend it's you. I can see your face instead of hers.
The husband she's cheating on, by the way, is another familiar face, Bill Fagerbakke, who is most famous for being the voice of Patrick on SpongeBob. Sean's story is the least disturbing of the 5, ending with a rather awkward family dinner. We meet Claude spotting his dad. Claude himself doesn't want to lift weights. He and his dad have a heart-to-heart.
You know, Claude, sometimes I look at you and I feel ashamed. Seems like you can't do nothing right.
So their relationship is doing great. His relationship with his mother is a bit better, although I'm not sure she's doing any motherly favors to her unborn baby with those cigarettes or beers. The mom is played by Amanda Plummer, who you will recognize from Pulp Fiction. The main source of drama with Claude is that his dad hates him because he isn't masculine enough. One night, after his dad was out drinking with a buddy, Dad comes home into Claude's room, and while it looks like part of the dad's problem is that he's a repressed homosexual and projects those parts of himself that he hates onto Claude's perceived softness. Things come to a head in Claude's room, and, well, Claude's dad doesn't have any perceived softness.
I can give it to you.
Peaches lives with her father. When we meet him, he is so into Bible study that he doesn't even hear Peaches enter the room. So, clearly very religious, and since this is a movie, we can safely assume a terrible person. Movies are, after all, based on reality.
Hey, buddy, we're Christians. We don't like what you said. I said, then forgive me.
Her mother died years before, and apparently Peaches looks more and more like her every day. Her story comes to a disturbing head when her dad comes home early and catches her having a good old time with her boyfriend. Dad beats the boy bloody. Peaches' punishment? She has to marry her father.
Oh my God.
I told you. Bad person. Horror fans will recognize Tate as James Ransone from Sinister. TV fans will know him from The Wire. Sadly, we lost him last year after he lost his own battle with his mental health issues. So, Tate lives with his grandparents, and he's not a nice boy. When we first meet him, he's putting inappropriate captions on sad pictures and beating his dog. And that's not a euphemism. Although, it will be a euphemism later. He gets into an argument with his grandparents over a game of Scrabble. His grandfather is another actor you might recognize. He played the old Ryan in Saving Private Ryan. Tate's story will be the darkest, but I'll save it for you. I'll just say that on the parenting theme, his grandparents should have recognized his struggles and gotten him some help. Finally, we have Ken Park. His story opens the movie with his end and ends with what brought him to that point, which is he got his girlfriend pregnant, and she wanted to keep it. And so the beginning of the film Ken Park, which was the end of the character Ken Park, turns out to be the film at its most nihilistic. Overall, the film presents a very dark view of parenthood. Here, we can see how dark. When Ken Park is faced with being a parent, he chooses oblivion. Let's talk some highlights. Well, this movie isn't for everyone. It is bleak and pretty disturbing. There is a little ray of hope near the end when Peaches, Sean, and Claude come together. Larry Clark seems to think that kids can find love and connection amongst themselves when their families fail to provide it. And the scene is a rather sweet and vulnerable moment, but no, I'm not going to show you any of it. YouTube would have an aneurysm. The acting here is solid all the way through, thanks to both some talented amateurs and the more experienced character actors they're surrounded with. Overall, the film is an interesting experience for those that can handle these kinds of cinematic experiences. I don't think it quite reaches the heights of Kids or Bully, but those films are hard to reach. I'm one of those who think that both of those films are brilliant and amongst the most impressive films of their era. Ken Park isn't that, but if you like those, you'll probably like this too. But despite that, the film's not perfect. Like a guy watching women's tennis with a tight scarf, it has some shortcomings. This film was shot and co-directed by Edward Lachman, who is an accomplished cinematographer, but I didn't care for his work here. One of the things I liked about Kids and Bully is there are numerous close-ups of the young, innocent faces caught in the story. The camera lingers on them, and it elevates the disturbing nature of those films by forcing us to recognize how young these people are. We don't get that style here, and I think the film is worse because of it. Beyond that, my main complaint is that the film doesn't have an overall narrative, just 5 stories tied together by a theme. This is a personal preference, of course, and it might not bother you at all. But I bet there will be other things in this film that do bother you.